you were underwater.
Oh, God.
Oh, we live.
Oh, hello, gang. How are we doing
Yo,
today?
sup? What's up? What's up?
Um, I don't want to wear these the whole time, so I'm gonna try the AirPods again in like 5 seconds. You know,
Yeah,
the
see if it works.
tech support always says you just need to turn it off and back on. So
We're trying to figure out sometimes when we're on the live, or not even live yet, when I talk, it takes like 30 seconds for it to get to Doug. So I move
it's
my mouth
bad.
and then he's like, huh?
And then we
Huh?
just
What?
talk over each other because like the delay. So I like cut Nick off mid sentence. I'm like, I thought you were done. Anyway, who's here? Beckham Harris. Beckham, you were early. You're like 15 minutes early. What's up, man? And Althena. Is that how you'd say that?
Althea?
Althea. Althea.
Alth.
I
Althea.
dig I dig the Hummer, man. That's dope.
Alth 3A.
Althea. Althea. Okay, hold on. We're gonna try the AirPods.
The sign language. A, B, C, D, E. No. Hold on. A, B, C,
Oh, it's
D,
working. Praise Jesus.
E, F, something like that. G, I don't know.
Wait, do it again.
A, B, C, D, E. This is E. E, F, F, uh, G, um, H, something like this. I, J, K, L, M. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I don't know. Hey, it's been since like sixth grade since I tried to learn that.
That's a special
I don't know.
skill. Um, God, what was it? Man, I'd murder the joke if I could, if I even tried. But basically, this girl was at IKEA or something, and some guy tried to hit on her, so she started doing sign language. You know, she doesn't know sign language, and either he did sign language back, like because she made it up, you know, to pretend like she was deaf, so that the guy didn't hit on her. I think maybe that's what happened, and then she just didn't know what to do, so then she just ran away. So anyway, moral of the story: sign language can come in clutch.
Oh, it'd be so cool to be able to know how to do that. Like, I mean, being any kind of bilingual would be cool, but knowing how to do
Yeah.
sign language would be dope.
You know, one of the most impressive things to me is the signers at like a rap concert.
Oh yeah, the one's
You
just
know, like
like
they
going.
translate, but yeah, that's rad. They deserve a lot of money
I just be up
because
there like this,
rapping's hard.
head bang, head bang.
Head bang.
Jamal, we are on kind of the West Coast. I'm in California, and Doug is in New Mexico.
I'm in the middle coast. Yeah, it's pretty late for the East Coast, huh?
Yeah.
I vote we just merge all the time zones.
Some people just when it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's just dark. So you guys better wake up at 3 a.m., suckers.
Just put all the
Or
time zones together.
you lose. Yeah,
It's
imagine
a
like
hard thing.
Europe. Europe's like 9 hours ahead, and it's like, bro, you guys better be up all night because y'all screwed.
Okay, good point. Maybe just in the US, just merge them all together. Jamal's in New York. Hey, Jamal from New
Oh
York.
yeah,
Thanks for hanging out with us, Jamal.
it's definitely 10:51 there. 10:51.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy. Because it's like, it's 8:51 here and it feels pretty late. But that's because I didn't sleep
Thank
very
you.
much.
Jamal said just discovered us. Thanks. We've been trying hard with the content. Always trying to be better.
Jamal, what's one thing that you want to see that we don't have on the channel yet? Do 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 do.
Da-dum, da-dum, dum 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 dum. Ta-da.
I mean, yeah, and anybody else on here, if you guys, what do you guys want to see? Because we're going to be filming some stuff soon, and throw some ideas at it. I mean, we have a good amount of ideas, but if there's something pressing that you would love to see, we will do it.
No double flips. I will not be teaching double flips on this channel.
No flips in general for me. I really want to do the how-to video thing, like the literally. And I was thinking about it again yesterday, and I'm like, I don't want to get canceled or like make anyone mad.
Oh yeah, it would be fun though.
That'd be a touchy subject.
Might have to do it about. Hey, Doug's channel talks all about specs on BMX bikes.
We do talk about specs a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're good. They complement each other well. BMX specs. Okay. We'll have to. What about maintenance? Maintenance is an area we could get into.
Maintenance and like setup, you know.
Yeah.
Setup, because a lot of times I think specs is one thing, and I think setup is, you know, the setup is where like the progression's based out of, whereas like the specs is more of like the buying knowledge. I mean, I guess, you know, you chase specs when you are, you know, either upgrading or trying to change like geometry, I guess. But really it's like, I think that's more of like a setup kind of, it would lead into the proper setup, because like, you know, to me it's like, if you're, a lot of people want lighter parts, you know. And I know nowadays like most parts are built pretty light. Like it's not as hard to have a light bike now that it was, you know, even 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's like, sometimes it's not always best to just find the lightest of the light parts. It's like you kind of got to know where you want the light parts. Like for me, it's like the wheels. The wheels is the most important thing that you want to be light, because it's the rotating weight. When you're doing a tail whip, the back wheel is what's going to make the difference, and then obviously like the length of your top tube. But the frame weight doesn't really affect tail whips that much. The back wheel weight does, because it's the most leverage when that bike is out there. So specs is, like I said, it's weird because it'd be like so individual.
Yeah. You could look at like a smaller standover making whips easier, but like you said, cutting out some rotational weight is crazy. And I think it's one of the most overlooked things. One thing I noticed is people switch, say your stock bike, your stock complete bike, those tires weigh like, God, I don't know, 30 ounces or something like that, or like 28. Really, they weigh a ton. And if you got demolition momentums, which are like 16 ounces, you're saving almost a pound per tire, or it was like half a pound per tire. And so with those two combined, you're saving a whole pound on your bike, which it's really hard to shave off a pound. And then that's rotational weight on top of it, just like going with like some titanium in your driver and tie spokes and tubolitos. Just one thing, like changing out one tie spoke isn't going to make a big deal, but 72 front and back with like lighter tubes and tires, that's going to change the whole way your bike feels.
Yeah, I would say like when I was working at the bike shop for so long, that was, I would say, like one of the biggest mistakes when it came to buying a new bike for people. Like a lot of people, first thing they did was like upgrade the stem. You know, they were like, oh, I want to get a different color stem, want these grips, want to get new pedals. Totally understand new pedals. You know, pedals that come with a bike are complete crap. Those little plastic pedals. But to me, but then people would also, they'd be like, hey, you know, I'm gonna be riding this bike around town, and where I live, we get lots of those little goat heads, you know, like little like tumbleweed stuff. And so people were getting extra thick tubes, or tubes with a sealant inside, and it's like, you want to make your bike feel instantly heavy, get those big tubes in there. So for me, it was like, risk the flat tires, get like just the simple, just regular tubes that you can get at your bike shop, the
Uh,
thinnest regular tubes, and then like any kind of folding bead tire is always going to be lighter than a wire bead tire, and
yeah.
I think the lightest tire made right now like is what I always rode on BMX for a long time was the Tioga Power Blocks. If
Yeah.
you get like the race version of those, they're like a 2.0 or a 2.1, and you would seriously save almost an entire pound, if not more, just by switching out the tires. Now I have the Maxxis DTHs. No, not no. That's on my hardtail.
Grifter.
Uh, Grifter.
Grifter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are decently light, but the Demolition Momentums, I rode those for a long time. Super light, like lightweight tires really make a difference, especially when you ride 26. You know, the tire's so much
Mm,
bigger. You can save so much more weight by getting a lighter tire. And then, as you said, like, you know, you go from tires and tubes, and then if you're building a new wheel, go after some rims that are lightweight, and then if you throw tie spokes in there, I've never ridden tie spokes, but I've built a lot of wheels with tie spokes, and
yeah.
it's crazy. Like you can full on lose 3 pounds in your wheels alone from like what you'd buy
Yeah.
stock, and they actually make a lot of complete wheels that are super light.
Hmm.
And if you want to just go crunch numbers and see which complete wheels, like I remember like Primo had like a remix wheel. And I rode that for a long time, and that back wheel was actually lighter than the custom back wheel I ended up building afterwards because profiles aren't that light, and I
Yeah.
run profiles on my BMX bike, and those profiles re-added some of the weight for sure. But no, it's crazy. Like if you bought a new bike and the first thing you did was buy lighter tires, like to me that would be the most effective like purchase besides
That's
obviously the pedals. Like don't
definitely
buy a new stem the first time. Like they're
no, or a
right when
new
you do it.
seat. There's a lot of things you don't want to waste the money on. But I think that's one of the most overlooked things is tires. I don't know why, but and then also a lot of them that do come on complete bikes are pretty junk. They're just lower quality. And I don't really know what the difference is between the high PSI tires versus the low PSI tires, other than just quality. But the grifters are folding Kevlar, right?
Yeah, it's all about the casing. Like
Mm,
when a tire's only rated to like 40 psi, it's because the casing on it is not it's not good. Basically, you risk blowing through the casing, which is why you see those bubbles that happen
yeah.
in a lot of tires. It's basically like all that all that
It's
like
time for bed.
all
Alexa says
that
it's time for bed. All
Kevlar
right, see you
stuff,
guys. I
and
gotta go to bed.
it's just like the way it's all put together. And yeah, I mean the fact that they can do that in a folding bead and get up to like 100 psi and still make a
Hmm.
tire so light, it's like you're using better material. And then also like better tires tend to be sometimes just a little bit. I mean, they have different compounds, but to me, like a softer tire is always going to handle just a little bit better. Whereas a lot of new tires, they're very like hard, almost give off like this slick, cheap feel.
Yeah. Jamal and Althea. I guess whoever's in here, what tires are you guys riding? Have you guys upgraded your tires, or are you just riding stock tires? We've got to know. We just have to know. And oh, I was going to say something else, but it must not have been that important. Um, my biggest thing, I was the classic person who would just upgrade for weight, and so I bought nitrous. Do you remember nitrous? It was like Eastern's
Yeah,
knockoff.
Eastern's low end stuff. Yeah,
And they were terrible, but they were pretty light. And then it's cool to have really light parts, and then if they only last for about 2 months, then I guess it's not that cool anymore. But but so it's especially important right now, I think, for you guys. If you guys are looking for upgrades, like be kind of practical about it. Think about things that are a little bit lighter, but try and find that healthy balance between quality and weight savings. The last thing you want to do is buy parts to save a bunch of weight and then have them break and then be without parts for a week because you've pretty much killed a week's worth of progression in that time. So you'll
yeah.
learn, but that's my wisdom for you. Balance that.
And this is first to touch on the
Mm-hmm.
1.75 tubes from Walmart. Unless you're running like a 2.4, any kind of like tube that's like 1.5 to 2.1, that's usually like the range that the tube will say. Pump that thing all the way up to 2.4 because I've definitely. You ever taken a tube out and pumped it up? Things will
Yeah,
get like
it
this
just
big.
gets big. Yeah.
So, like I run 2.0 tubes in all my bikes. But if you got a 1.75, that's like a Presta valve like I run. That obviously wouldn't work for you. And then Jamal says, like experimenting on different specs, front load versus top load stem, long back end versus short. This is where I was always changing parts. Like, you know, a front load versus a top load stem actually makes a very big difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different ride. And I would say, you know, best case scenario is you have a buddy or someone that you can either like swap with or you can just try running their stem for a couple weeks or like buy like a kind of like a used one. If you're just going to test the geometry, it would suck to pay 80-90 bucks on a new stem just to
And then
test the
hate it.
geometry and be like, oh, I hate this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does take a little bit of time to get used to really know if it's going to benefit you or not. But also running a front load stem, if you don't have a top load stem, getting a little bit taller bars is kind of going to achieve the same purpose.
Counteract that. Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing about a top load stem is that top loads can generally bring the bars closer to the fork tube. And the closer the bars are to the fork tube, the easier bar spins and stuff are going to be because you don't have the bars doing as wide of a circle. It's like mountain bikes. I run like a 35 mil stem, and some guys run like 50. No, mine is as close as you could possibly get it to the steer tube. And then long back end versus short. Obviously, long back end for trails, big quarters is going to be better because you can preload the weight better to get more pop. Short is going to rotate faster. It's going to loop out quicker. It's going to manual easier. And then cassette versus free coaster, we all know what that does.
Yeah, that's a lot of good ideas there. Was that Jamal?
Yeah.
Ideas for experimenting with those different things. I remember riding like Jake's bike, his dirt jumper, and he's like, no, no, bars are way easier on these things. And I'm like, no, you're lying. And then I did it and I was like, whoa, like, and that was it, is because I think on my BMX, my stem's like 52 or 48. And then you get a 35 millimeter stem, those bars just, it's just a tighter circle, I guess. Like you said, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like spinning around in this chair right here with my arms and legs out. It's like a
yeah,
50 mil stem, and then bringing them in is like a 35 mil stem. You're
yeah,
bringing
yeah.
that circumference. It's the same with like steep forks versus raked out forks. The more raked out the fork is, the more the wheel is not like, 'cause you want everything to be like, tight. Like if you're spinning a
Hmm.
straw, whereas when things are now off, you have that weird like weight gyration when you're throwing the
Yeah.
bars.
Well, then one issue that comes with that is like when you're steering, say, just a little bit of steer takes off a lot quicker than if you have a longer circle. It's what would it be? A longer turn radius or something like that. So it's going to feel a little less stable, right? But I guess you have bigger wheels to kind of counteract that on the dirt jumper.
Yeah, I on a dirt jumper, like it's everything's raked out more than it is on a BMX
True.
bike.
Yeah.
But because the head tube is raked like that,
Mm,
you still have something that's spinning straight. Whereas if it was like this, it wouldn't
yeah.
work. We just move everything, so then it all
Makes
works
sense.
together. You don't want that
Because
drag.
on your oh, look, our friends are back in the chat. And
Oh my
anyway,
Atlanta.
oh my Lanta. I was we were talking about the 15 millimeter forks. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you have wait, hold on one sec. Okay, users in timeout. But imagine if you have like a 76-degree head tube angle, so it's super steep, 15 millimeter offset forks, and then like 35 millimeter stem. So you're just like, it's like as straight up and down as you could get, like BMX wise. Um, that's going to be so twitchy and crazy. So it's guys, it's so important to understand, I guess, when you're buying part upgrades. Do you think it's a good idea to buy it just for color?
Are you asking me? You're asking them.
Yeah, no, I mean whoever. I was asking
Oh,
you, but
oh, well, because you were looking over here, so I was like, I don't know if you, because where
oh,
you were
sorry.
looking on my screen was at the
Yeah.
chat, because my
Oh, my
chat's
bad.
over there. So I was like waiting for you to watch something pop up.
I know. I was just waiting. I
No,
was like, maybe my headphones quit working. Jamal goes with Jamal. Thank you for getting back to me. I appreciate it.
I mean,
Um,
I think color when upgrading parts, do I also factor in color? 100%.
yeah.
Especially like nowadays, when I build a bike, I just rebuild, mostly the whole bike. It's not often that I just like change parts anymore because I know what I like. I know the geometries that I like. So I kind of just look at like, hey, this is what these companies have right now. I'm going to do this. And honestly, for the last so long, because black is always pretty easy to get. You can always get black stuff. So
Yeah.
I've pretty much always gone the safe, like, hey, unless I'm gonna powder coat the whole thing, like I used to do with my BMX bikes. That's how I ended up with the whole pink bike. Um, it's just like, hey, I'm gonna run mostly black everything, and I'll just change the frame color. I'll get it powder coated and change the frame color each year. But then otherwise, if I do break bars, it's like I could just go out and buy, the same black bars. Whereas like if they came in a really cool blue one year, that
Mm,
so you made your whole bike blue to match. It's hard to match like blues. Like I had an all blue bike one time, but then the second I had to like start switching stuff, it's like you can't find a blue to match. So and the
yeah.
black just ended up replacing everything. And like right now I've got the silver bars with the white fork, but when I get the red frame, we're going black on black on black on red, and that's it.
Well, that's a big thing in BMX is that you'll have red like Kink's the old Kink Cloud red is a more of a trans red, but then if you buy an aftermarket, say Kink red, generally it doesn't even match, especially if it's a different brand. And so that's always really hard to do. I think I'll factor it in towards the end. So I'm like, okay, I want this geometry. And then so then I'll look for things with that geometry in it. And I guess plan everything out beforehand and say, okay, well, these bars, like say the bars and forks you can get in both in white, but you can only get one in red. And so then it's like, okay, well, I guess red is out the window. Maybe we'll go for white. And I don't know. I'm really over analytical though, and it takes way too long to plan out a bike build like that. Because you want to have a cool looking bike too, but if it's hindering your progress, then you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Althea says, I preferred the color of the dark wave, but the specs of the sound wave fit me much better. You're smart. Smart. You're thinking smart. Because I think you could paint the sound wave or powder coat it and get it pretty close to that dark wave color. Because that is a nice red.
Yeah, powder coating is legit. Like I used like, I that's how all my frames are done. They're all powder coated, and
Yeah.
then like the pink bike, it's all powder coated. It was anodized blue at one time, and then it was anodized red, and then it's pink. Because you can just drop your frame, forks, bars, and cranks off at the powder coater and get it all done the same. And it what 150 bucks to do all of it, and it's like, if color is a real issue, that's to me why like I always went with like black wheels, black stem, black cranks. So then if I wanted frame bars and forks to match, you just do everything else black and then just powder coat those.
Yeah.
Um, because I if the geometry that I really want, say comes in raw and black, I'm not going to buy a geometry I don't want for the color. If something comes in the color I want, fantastic. But now with mountain bikes, obviously like I have white fork right now because that's what they want me to ride, and I have a
Uh,
black one coming for 2022. But the white would still look dope. But it's like I don't have really a choice. You can't really powder coat that,
yeah.
and like the bars once you start getting into like a lot of mountain bike stuff, like it's just not as worth it. So that now I'm just like, oh, let's just do the frame of color, ride everything else black or silver. Like I love chrome, but now chrome is like hard to get.
And it's always so much more expensive.
Yeah,
Your
well,
pink
they're
color
not even
was
allowed to do like
custom.
real the pink.
Yeah. Was it custom? You
The
know,
pink was
like
powder
that
coated,
color.
yeah.
Did you have to
Um,
pay extra for that color?
no, so I had a deal for a long time with the powder coater here where
Uh huh.
I would source the powder and buy the powder, bring it in, and he would powder coat it for free.
Oh, that's a good
So
deal.
so I bought it was called Sassy Pink. And then
Sassy pink.
Jack Fay, because I let the guy keep the rest of the powder,
Uh
and
huh.
then Jack Fay, when he had his pink bike, went to the same guy, used my powder, and then named it the Pink Flamingo. And I was like, bro, you were second. I paid for that powder.
God,
No,
I remember
I like
seeing that
Jack.
guy
Jack's a
at
barber
camp.
now.
Is he?
Yeah, he's the one who taught me how to front flip drop in a
What's
long
he
time
doing
ago.
now? I mean, is he
He's
riding still and barbing?
uh, I don't know. I don't know if he's riding at
Yeah,
all, but he's a barber now in Australia. Yeah,
that's random.
he was rapping for a while. I think he still raps a little bit. He's done a lot of things. He's
They
a good dude. I like that guy.
BMXers always go off either into cars, rapping, or I don't know. I guess or nothing. Those are the three.
And me and Doug go into educating.
Yeah,
I
we can't rap, so here we are.
can
Um,
rap Eminem songs.
hey, do you
Can't make
like
my own
Dax?
raps. The what?
Dax, have you heard of Dax?
No.
He did a Rap God remix. It made me think of you because that's what we were rapping at Chandler. That's what you were rapping at Chandler. I'll send it to you. You'll have to
Oh yeah, you
listen.
sent it to me.
It's all one take.
So I just looked up the Odyssey Path tires,
Uh huh.
and those are dope. Definitely seem a bit of a like a street-ish tire. Um, and then the Eat Clat Tomorrow definitely probably a street-ish tire. It's funny because like the last 10 years riding Woodward, pretty
Hmm.
much you run grifters or you run those KHE ones or Tioga power blocks because you want pretty much slicks.
Yeah.
You want them to be light, and when you're super park rider 2.4, you don't touch. Like we're running like 2.0 in the back, maybe 2.1, 2.2 in the front. Some guys run like 2.3, but like you don't. If you're not riding street, you're only riding transition. You don't need the fatter tires. So you're running something super skinny at like 110 psi versus
Yeah.
street. You're probably gonna be running like 40. You want that wider, squishier tire, and
Yeah. At camp, you either ride the grifters or something like that, or you cry. Those are your two options. Dude, I washed out there so many times. So many times. Althea, why do you think you need shorter bars? Like lower to the ground or more narrow?
yeah, like shorter this way or lower.
Boom. I'm gonna make a video going to like Harbor Freight and getting a pipe cutter and then cutting down my bars because it's so simple, but I don't know. Imagine if you cut 2 inches off one side and half an inch on the other side, you just ruined your whole life.
You use pipe cutters?
Just like those little ones that screw on and then you twist it and tighten it and
Uh,
twist it and tighten it.
I
Wait, you
hate
use
that.
like
I don't use.
a zzz, whatever, sawzall or
No,
something?
I use the a guide, a vise, and a handsaw. I worked at a bike shop for a long time, so I do everything the proper way.
Handsaw.
And there's a lot of guys at a bike shop who
Uh-huh.
say the pipe thing's just fine, and we had that. The reason I never do that is because it folds in the end of the bar and it makes getting a
Mm,
bar in really difficult. Whereas
yeah.
Park Tool actually makes like a guide that's the perfect width of the saw. Your bar goes in and then it clamps the bar in place and it holds the guide
Oh,
onto it. And then you put that guide in the vise and then you just saw it and it's really easy. That's how you
yeah.
cut fork tubes too. But it cuts it perfectly straight and then you get this fancy little file that looks like this and you just spin it real quick, flip it around, do the outside of the bar, boom, perfect flush, bar end goes right in. And that's the way, like, obviously, like I said, a pipe thing works because it does cut it straight also,
Yeah.
but it flares it in, so it makes it really difficult to get a bar end in there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But
I
definitely
didn't
don't use
even
a
know
handsaw if you don't have the guide.
I didn't know they made that. I bet it's not super expensive either. The vise will be the pain
Yeah, if you don't have
to get.
a solid vise. Yeah, let's see. Park Tool Guide
Beckham
Um,
says, "Can we ask questions?" Yes. What you got, Beckham?
they're like $40. You can get them on Amazon. Um, they're super cool though.
Yeah, that sounds really handy.
So once you use like real tools for everything, because they make a tool for every single possible thing you
Yeah.
need to do on a bike, and there's way too many to buy. But once you've used all those tools, like you never want to go back. Like once you use like a proper bottom bracket press and like the proper bearing presses, and just like you don't want to go back to like hitting the wood, getting
Yeah.
it in, and like you just always want nice tools.
I've never put in a bottom bracket the correct way. It's always been 2x4 and hammer, and good luck.
Well, now like with the my mountain bike ones are threaded. It's a threaded
Oh
bottom
yeah.
bracket,
So
and
you
you can
need a
get it pretty
wrench
much
then.
in, but you need the fancy wrench that goes all the way around it to like tighten it down.
Yeah.
You could just use like big wide pliers,
Yeah.
but you'd scratch it. But if you're not worried about scratching it, then it would be fine. But it's because it's got like a bunch of teeth. It's this big circle tool with like these square teeth all the way around for a Euro threaded bottom
Mm.
bracket.
Yeah. Mountain
But yeah,
bikes
the
are a
bottom
lot
bracket press is
more
nice.
technical, more technical to work on for sure.
Well, what's funny though is they're technical, but like when I was working at the bike shop, for 6, 7 years, working on BMX bikes was the worst. And I was a BMX kid. But the BMX bikes were always the ones with the big problems. They were always like the pain in the butt. You put it in the stand, you're like, yeah, I can fix this real quick, and then crank arm is like sealed on there, never use grease to put it on. Things are cross threaded, and like they were always the biggest pain. And they never
Yeah.
had brakes or nothing. They were literally like wheels, chain, and bike. And like that and like really expensive road bikes were a pain too because they've got all this like electronic shifting on it. And
Uh-huh.
but otherwise, like I'd rather work on a basic mountain bike or road bike all day because when the BMX bikes came in, something was not good. So kids would be trying to like fit a different size seat tube in there with like a Coke can. Things would get stuck. They get all like,
A Coke can?
yeah. You can make a shim like for seat posts come in a bunch of
Uh-huh.
different sizes,
Yeah.
and if you have the wrong size seat post or like say your seat clamp, uh, a lot of people will break the built-in seat clamps, you
Hmm.
know, for the bikes, or they would get like weird, and you'd be like people could be bending them and stuff. Um, and so when it was kind of loose, even when you tightened it all the way down, you could shim it, and you cut a little piece of an aluminum like Coke can or something, and you put it with the seat, and it gives a
Yeah.
little bit more to clamp onto. They actually make official
Hmm.
shims, but when you pour, you use that.
Yeah.
Or like $1
That's.
to patch your tire. You ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, you put it in the side of the
Put a
tire,
dollar
right?
in there. You can put $1. If you have a blowout in your tire, you can put $1 in there and run that thing at like 110 psi, and I promise you it'll run. Fold up a
That's
dollar a
good.
bunch of times, put it in there,
Yeah.
and people run that for like a year until that dollar is like disintegrated. We do it on the
Um,
road bikes all the time.
the Mike and I, the dance comp guy, we were talking about that, and I'd also set a credit card. Like if you cut a piece of a credit card or something, it's probably not as good for your tire as a dollar, but cash is nobody has cash anymore. Um, did you see Beckham's
Time
question?
out this person.
I know. Well, see, I blocked the other one. This is a different account.
Oh, there's a new one.
It's because
Great.
bike school's growing so fast.
I want to get a new frame for park. I'm looking at the We the People message frame of the Sunday Park Ranger frame. What's a good BMX park specific? That's definitely a Doug question.
Oh,
Um, I would probably, if I was going to build one, I'd probably go for like a hyper frame just because that's like super, super park. And the
yeah.
hyper frames are pretty much the same geometry as like the Harry Main frame that I have now. So
You have a
that's what
Harry
I would
Main
go
frame?
for. Yeah, my BMX bike is from 2014, dude. It's a Failure Maniac. Failure Maniac bars and S&M
Wow.
pitchfork. Yeah, and I have profile cranks on there, and
I
profile
love
wheels.
Harry
But
Main.
yeah, Harry Main was my jam. So that's the stuff I had. And then if I did like a whole new BMX build, I would do probably just like hyper snafu. Um, because I do a lot of film stuff for Hyper with Jake and stuff. So I would just go through them, and I like their stuff. The geometry's good. Like when I ride Jake's bike, I really like it.
Yeah, they're real responsive. Hey, what do you think? You hear anything about the titanium layered frames snapping?
I have not heard that. No,
I know two people now. Well, one was Mike Varga. I don't know Mike Varga, but I saw his post. He got messed up from it. And then some kid I met
crazy.
in El Paso, he tried to flip a spine and I think cased it. And it obviously that's not very good for your frame, but dude, I'd be so sad if I broke a $2,000 frame. So, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I didn't actually know that Mike Laird was doing the Thai ones. I knew he
Mm,
was doing all the custom frames, but I didn't know he was doing Thai frames. I mean, maybe I did, like maybe I saw that, but wasn't actually like conscious that people were running them.
yeah, I think Todd Mine's frame a few years ago is one of his. Um,
Mm,
he'll, but I don't think he would talk about it very much because I'm sure it's more work. I'm sure it's harder to weld Thai than Chromoly. But yeah, he'll do that too on his website. I think right now it's like 3 months or something to get a frame, or probably more, 6 months
oh wow.
backlogged. But Beckham, they're both pretty responsive and they're both pretty solid as far as like part geometry. The biggest difference is the Sunday's a little bit lighter and the standover height's shorter. So like the shorter standover height's going to be good for tail whips and things like that, but it's harder to pinch for bar spins. Um, but they're both pretty responsive with the short back end and yeah. So I mean, at that point where they're so similar like that, you could go off a color.
What's up with parts availability? I'm building a custom bike, can't find the. There ain't no availability right now in any industry. Like I can't find cameras in stock. I can't find mountain bike pedals in stock. Like we're still just in this bad shortage of production. Manufacturers, and you got to think a lot of like different brands and stuff. They're manufactured out of kind of the same place,
Mm-hmm.
and when those manufacturers are slow, there's not much we can do about it. Buyers don't buy for a while, dealers don't order, things don't get done. Like it's kind of like the wood thing. Like built the van and wood skyrocketed because they thought that all the buyers were like, hey, we're about to see a crash in the market with COVID. We're not going to order wood. And then everyone was at home doing home improvement projects, so wood became super high demand, and they didn't order any enough. So wood was really hard to get, and it's really expensive, and it's just a supply and demand issue with a lot of things right now. Not that I'm any kind of like economist or anything, but definitely from just going around to stores, basic stores like Target and bike shops, everyone's having a hard time getting anything. Like I've been trying to get a downhill bike for 2 years and can't find one in stock ever.
Yeah.
Like,
I went to our bike shop here and they literally half the building, okay, it's like the buildings say this big, half the building they have tons of bikes just lined up and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And I walk in, I'm like looking around, he's like, oh no, these are waiting to be repaired. I'm like, oh, the other half where the bikes should be, they had like five. I'm like, this is crazy. um
yeah,
but yeah, and a big thing is shipping too. It's really hard right now for the companies to get the product over here. So, but think about how bad it was a year ago. Like where we're at right now with it is, I think, pretty amazing. A good majority of bikes are BMX wise are in stock and parts are coming back. So I think one more year, Dustin will be in good luck or good hands. Good hands. K Stinky says, check Skate Pro. They have lots of parts. I built 3 bikes in the last 6 months, all with parts from Skate Pro. Okay, good. Yeah, good looking out.
I never heard of
CX40.
Skate Pro. Never heard of Skate Pro. I don't know what that is.
What's up, CX4130? How you doing? Um, I think they're
Bob
in
says,
a.
"What's a good?"
Oh,
Oh, you
Bob.
go.
No, you go.
Just because that's a question for you for sure. What's a good affordable full chromoly bike?
Um, Bob is stealing my name. Bob. Dude, it's funny. A lot of people think my name's Bob because of the Dougster Bob. They don't know. They don't know what my name is. It's like, hey, Bob. I'm like, well, that works. Bob, check this out. This is my score sheet. It just has like every bike, and then each bike gets a score in each area. The Chromoly bikes are pretty much over a quality score of like 5, and then you can look at their dirt, their street, their park score. And this is just the best way to do it because there's a handful of different bikes that fit your option. Usually I make you sign up for an email list to see this, but it's okay. I'll just put it in the chat.
You're so nice.
I know. Did it go? Okay.
Yeah, it's in there. Twice.
Oh yeah, to Facebook and to YouTube.
Oh, I was gonna say, dude, you're spamming people right now.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's spam. We're
I
gonna
was
get
gonna
canceled
say
for that.
Skate Pro. I think Skate Pro's like Dutch or something. Like they say they're from California, but then they actually ship from somewhere in Europe. Tell me if I'm wrong. Who said that about Skate Pro?
K Stinky.
K Stinky.
Based in Denmark. Yeah.
They both started with a D, so it's close. Dutch, Denmark, Dutchland.
Isn't that kind of the same place?
Is it? Yeah, I think Dutch people are from Denmark. Yeah, I don't
They're from
know.
like the Netherlands,
Dude.
but is Denmark? Oh my God, I don't know. Hold on, my Europeanness. Hold on,
We just look like a
Denmark.
bunch of jackasses right now. Yeah, I have no idea.
Denmark is. Let's see. I know because like that's where they just did Copenride is in Denmark. So we have Germany, and then like northeast of Germany or northwest of Germany is the Netherlands, and then like north of Germany is Denmark, and then like it crosses the water into like Sweden over there. So Denmark is not the Netherlands. Denmark would be they would speak German, I think.
Danish.
Danish.
And then is Danish like German? This is what Google says. Danish is a North Germanic or Scandinavian language. It's very different from German. Oh, that's crazy. Germany, I really want to. You've been to Germany, right? That's where
Mark lives. Yeah,
that's where Mark's from.
Quite a bit of time there. Yeah.
It's such an aggressive language. Like I feel like they're yelling at me no matter what. You know.
No, yes, Twilrex. Danish is not the same as Dutch. Yes, we're aware of that now. But that's what's crazy about Europe. You know, you could drive like the length of California, and people speak like 6 different languages. You start in Italy,
so
you'd be like, you go up into Switzerland, and you're like, okay, they speak Italian at the bottom, but then if you go a little bit west, they're speaking French. North Switzerland, they're gonna speak more German. Then you go to Austria, they're speaking German. And you go to, you have obviously France, and then you have Spain, Spanish, and then you have like German in Germany, and then you have, the Netherlands, and then you have Sweden and Norway. They're all speaking Swedish up there. But it's like that's why they all learn English, because you can't be an Italian and expect to go to Germany and have people speaking Italian to you. So you could drive 3 hours, and the only way to communicate with them is in English. So like they all speak English. All their signs are usually in English, and
because that's what a majority of people end up learning and being able to talk. Beckham, we'll see you later, man. Thank you for hanging out with us for a minute.
Goodbye.
You're welcome, Bob. Jamal usually buys from Source or Dan's Comp. Hey, Jamal, one shop I've heard good things about. I don't really like them, but it's Powers. Powers Bike Shop. You could check and see what they have. They're in the U.S. But the owner, Chad, he was going around putting Powers Bike Shop stickers over like Albies at different places. Wherever he'd find a different shop stickers, he'd put his own over it. And I'm like, Chad, like I called him out on a Facebook group. I was like, hey, quit putting your stickers over everybody and just put a laughy face. But I've heard a lot of good things. Like people are getting their stuff really fast, and he's a pretty solid guy, I guess, even though I don't know him, so I don't know if I like him. Like every live I go about how I don't like people.
Grandma Salt.
Hey, what's up, Sean? Sean hasn't been on one of these lives. Sean's in my lives sometimes. Sean, I haven't seen you in a long time. How you been? Okay, Nick, what's your favorite bike shop in the whole US?
Um, I don't know. I don't really go to bike shops. Like if we're being honest.
You don't ever order anything?
And no, because I worked at a bike shop for so long, and so
Sure.
then between that shop and the shop that I go to now, where I live, um, I go in there. I would just work on stuff when I need to, and I just use the computer to order things like shop direct, and then I just pay the shop whatever, because it's easier for me to I already know what I want, and because I dealt with
Yeah.
distributors for so long, I know which distributor is going to carry that brand. So it's like I know that I'm pretty much because slopestyle mountain biking is kind of very niche, I know that if I go to a random bike shop out of town, the odds that they have anything that I need or
Yeah.
want is not going to be high. Um, so I kind of plan ahead a lot, and then also, over the years of competing and stuff, I've made connections with certain brands that I just go direct to for things.
Hmm.
But the only time I'll ever go to bike shops really is like if it's like I'm out riding and I blow a tube,
An
then
emergency.
I'll just go to some random shop. But I don't know. A lot of bike shops are very roady, and they don't really like BMX kids.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Um,
definitely.
it's very difficult. I don't think I've ever been. I worked at a pretty BMX heavy shop, but I don't know if there's not a lot of other shops that are like
Yeah.
strict BMX. Like you'll go into a lot of shops that have no BMX bikes
Oh
because
yeah,
they
and
don't want to deal with it at
they
all.
have
Yeah,
stolen pedals on the wall, like
yeah,
some stolen
yeah.
pedals
The
and some
occasional
hyper
thing to
pay.
get kids go. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamal, if you're still here, if you haven't left yet, see you later, man. Thank you for hanging out. It was fun. You were the first. You stayed a long time.
See you, Jamal.
Chad, you see, we got Chad and Jared in here.
What's up, dudes?
What's up, bike schoolers? We need a good name for all the members. Like my followers, I've decided I'm going to call them Dougster Bobbers, and so we need some, something for bike school members. So you guys are Dougster Bobbers too. What's up, Alien?
uh, bikes, Bike school members are just the dopest. That's what they are. They're
Shredders.
the
What's up,
dope squad. I don't know.
Shredders? Dope Squad.
Dope.
We'll
See,
think
I
on
don't.
it.
I could never have done that. Like that's like a thing for vloggers. Like, what's up, Fox fam?
Yeah.
What's up, dope squad? Like I couldn't do that. I'm just like, what's up, Nick Noke here?
Hey guys.
Like,
Yeah.
y'all are just people. I don't need to be calling you Hilton fam. No
Hilton
cares.
fam. Hey,
Nick. Oh, the Nick Knock flock. Oh my God, imagine
dude,
the Nick Knock flock.
see, I think that's really good. Yeah, stuff like that. Hey, if you guys have any good ideas for
That'd be
what to call you,
hilarious.
let us know. You
Nick
should
Knock
start that.
flock.
All the videos now. What's up, Nick Knock Flock? Today we're headed
Dude,
to.
people would get so many dislikes right at the beginning.
It's okay.
They'd
You
be
can't
like,
see the
"What?"
dislikes anymore.
Nick Knock flock, and then have a bird come in. Dude, I'm so pumped. I'm getting um, my friend Seb bought a Rhino slider like years ago,
Hmm.
and he like stopped doing film. He's the one that builds vans now,
Yeah.
and he's gonna this week he's gonna get me his Rhino slider and let me use it. And the Rhino slider is like the slider, but it's got the automatic um, motor on it, so that when I'm filming videos, it can be like moving on its own back and
Yeah,
forth,
that's cool.
giving like movement, and then you can like set it for like 3 hours to go from point A to point B, and then you can do like a time lapse and get everything moving. It'd be so dope. Very excited. It's like $1,000 thing. I could
I
never
was
buy
gonna say,
one.
I bet that's pretty
Yeah.
expensive. Dustin, thank you, Dustin. That means a lot, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. We're gonna more in-depth stuff about bunny hops are going in the course. Well, it's in there right now, and jumping soon. So revisit
Oh
those
yeah.
since you've been in there for
The
a while.
the jumping video I was supposed to upload today. I forgot.
It's
Um,
okay. We still have a few hours
yeah.
till the day's over. But just next time you're in the course, go and check those two things out because they've been heavily updated, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Jared, drive safe. Look at Jared's risking his life out here to be on the live stream.
You're gonna have to sign a waiver, Jared.
Yeah.
I need you to sign. Need you to sign a waiver, saying that I have to be like Spotify. Have a little thing that pops up on the screen and says, "Careful driving."
You know what's crazy?
Do not do this and
Did
drive.
you update your phone to the new iOS and like it detects when you're driving, and
Yeah, it does safe
doesn't let you
driving.
use it? And I should have turned that off because I tell you what, I've almost gotten in more crashes because of that safe driving thing. Because like I'll pull up my phone to change a song or something real quick, and I'll click it, and then it's like you're driving, and I'm like and then I'm like
Well,
stop it, you're more
you
dangerous.
notice that it tells you now when someone like silenced their notifications.
Mm-hmm. I don't
Like
like
so,
that.
half the time I text you, it says delivered quietly, and it'll tell me you have your
Oh.
notifications turned off. And so like I'll like text, and then it says delivered quietly, and then I'm like, you may not see that for like 10 hours. I don't know.
I might not. Well, I was like, cool. Whenever I'm in certain, I mean, I use Do Not Disturb quite a bit, but like if I'm at work or something, it notices that zone and automatically silences certain notifications. It's really smart, but kind of
Yeah,
frustrating.
I just do the sleep one at 11:15. 11:15, my phone
Yeah.
goes off for notifications, and uh, yeah, I won't. If you text me after 11:15, pretty much I don't see unless I'm on my phone. If I'm on it,
Yeah.
it'll still pop up. But the second I put my phone down, I don't hear it till 8 a.m. again because I have it turned off from then to then.
Wow.
Like, dude, sometimes like you run a photography business and people are like, they'll text you at like 10 o'clock at night, and it's
Yeah.
like, bro, I don't do that to
I,
you.
I have
I don't,
mine from 10:40 to 5:40. That's my span. But sometimes I'll
10.
text you. It'll be like 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I need to tell Nick this. And then I'll get his phone silent so I won't wake him up, so I don't feel
Oh
so
yeah.
bad about it.
No, I had
Um,
to. I started doing that a long time ago because I can't. I don't sleep very deep or well, so I
uh,
used to wake up every time the thing would go, and I would wake up at like 2 a.m. to check like a pointless notification, and
yeah.
I'd be like checking my email at like 2 a.m. for some reason. I'm like, dude, don't. Like, I try not
Don't
to check that
forget to
stuff
get
till
your
noon
oil
anymore.
changed.
Yeah.
Um, oh, guys, so what I was gonna tie that to something. Now you guys can set your a work productivity zone in your iPhone now whenever you're at the skate park, so that your mom can't bug you, your girlfriend can't bug you. You just have a nice sesh in peace, automatically and do not disturb. So that's cool. Jared, you're definitely missing out on the Apple products.
Jared, if it makes you feel better, the iPhone is the only Apple product with and AirPods. The only Apple products that I own. None of my computer work has ever been done on a Mac. I'm pretty anti-Mac. Um, it's a
All right,
bold
guys, I gotta
statement,
go. I gotta go.
and it's not even that I'm anti-Mac. It's that I know I can get more bang for my buck with the PC, and I've always used PC, so I know how to use it. I know how to work it. When I get on Doug's computer, I'm like, bro, how you click file safe? I'm like, I'm like, where's your right click, man? Like, where's your
Oh,
But I have this nice mouse right here. Like I
hey,
could never not have a right click. It's like Bluetooth, and I can literally drag files from one computer to another computer just via this
is
mouse.
that one of the Logic mouses?
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
got,
a
look at that. I
low
got one
G.
too.
Oh,
It's so
these are
nice.
dope, and they've got like multiple buttons, and you can like program
Yeah.
them.
For
Yeah, no, they're
editing, I'm like,
sick.
cut, delete, cut, delete, cut, delete, cut, delete. My camera's gonna die, so let me go grab a battery. Hold on.
Okay, okay, let's see. Sergio, Sergio has a question. Sorry, I don't have the same powers as Doug, so I can't put your question up on the screen like Doug can. Um, but do you recommend learning tricks on BMX first, then on mountain bike? Um, yes
This
and
is such a
no.
good question. This is such a good
Yeah.
question. Let me put it on screen.
Okay,
Okay.
we're gonna put it. Okay, boom, right there. Recommend learn tricks on BMX first, then on mountain bike. So for me, that's how most of it worked out, because I was a BMX rider for a long time, and then when I switched to mountain bike, I had a entire library of tricks that I just had to convert over. But then since I started full time mountain bike riding in like late 2014, early 2015, everything that I've learned since then has been on mountain bike. But I was actually just telling Doug about this, a few days ago. There's a couple tricks that I'm trying to learn right now that are, they're scary to do even in the airbag. So I've considered, haven't done it yet, but I've considered getting my BMX bike back out just to try to get the basic knowledge of those tricks, since it could be a little safer, and then translate it to the mountain bike just to get myself to the commitment phase of those tricks, and then switch them over. But if you're like a mountain bike rider, I wouldn't recommend like consistently taking breaks to learn a trick on BMX and then trying to like adapt it to mountain bike. Like if you're a mountain bike rider, just learn the tricks on the mountain bike. Um, but if you ride both already, like yeah, a lot of things are going to be easier to learn initially on BMX. But like I said, I only did that because BMX is what I rode, and then I just switched it all to mountain bikes. But no, right now is the first time I've ever considered going back to BMX to try to learn a trick to translate. And like I said, it's only because committing to it is kind of scary, and I think maybe doing it on BMX wouldn't wouldn't be as catastrophic if I wasn't successful.
What was one thing for you that was like the hardest when you were switching over? Was there one thing that was really hard taking tricks from BM, like a specific trick or just something in general about it that was really
Um,
difficult?
so the big spin tricks were were difficult to switch, um, because the wheelbase was so different. Like um, three downwhips were a little bit weird to do because you got to kick the
Mhm.
bike so much harder than you do on BMX. Um, but the hardest one to switch over, which is funny because initially it was actually really easy, was Cork 7. Um, Initially, all I did was do the same thing that I did on BMX, but just try 10 times harder, and it worked. And I was able to do it at events, and I was able to do it for like 4 months straight just by like doing it way harder. But then when I
Mhm.
started to like get a little sloppy with it, build bad habits, I could get on my BMX bike, literally do the same thing, and the trick would work perfect every time because I could like manhandle the BMX bike. Whether if the rotation started a little weird, I could still bring it all the way back to wheels and be totally fine. Still to this day, I can get on a BMX bike and first go do a cork 7 or a 3 flip. But doing that same exact motion on the mountain bike absolutely does not work for me. So I have to do that trick entirely different. Like it feels off the lip like I'm doing two
Mhm.
completely different tricks for it to feel the same. But most other tricks are pretty much the same. But it was
Mhm.
the big rotations like that, um, and double flips took me a while to translate over, um, because you got to pull so much harder. It takes longer to loop out off the lip. Um,
As soon as you
but
said double flip, it went from like 5 viewers to nine. Um, I don't know. Everyone was listening for double flip. Double flip. Yeah, I
shoot,
couldn't imagine because like if I hopped when I hopped on your bike and just did like tried one or two tricks, it's so different. But Sergio, that's cool that you're doing two different things. And yeah, which one like do whichever one you enjoy more. That was a good answer, Nick. That was good.
thank you.
Doe. See, and then it's either Bob or it's Doe, not
That's
Doug. Doe.
dosh dough.
Doe.
I guess that's
Doe.
dough like donut dough.
If I change my whip 2022 fork to Odyssey R15, does it affect the head tube angle? We were kind of talking about this earlier, huh?
Yeah.
Um,
So the one thing I would tell you, it's this is kind of a gonna just throw some technicality into this real quick. Uh, the head tube angle of the frame technically always be the same because it's the frame,
mm,
you know.
mhm.
It's not really the head tube angle that's changing at that point because the fork is still going in. You're changing your offset. You're not changing the head tube angle. It it serves the same purpose of
Yeah.
changing your head tube angle. Like if you had a frame with the same degree change in steepness that you did with the offset of the forks, you'd probably get the same like riding condition, you know.
Hmm.
But it's not actually changing your head tube angle. It's changing the offset. It's moving the axle more underneath the frame. So it's
Yeah.
gonna give you that
Short.
feeling like you're riding over, but it's not pushing the bars out like a steeper head tube angle would.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah,
Does, does that make sense?
I didn't even think of the how it, if the head tube angle changed it. I was just going to say the same thing. Like the head tube angle is going to be the same no matter what, but it's going to pull your front wheel in, shortening your wheelbase, which gives you a more
Yeah, make you
responsive
and make you feel
feeling.
steeper. It's gonna
Hmm.
feel like you're more forwards on
Um,
the bike, but it's not. It's hard to explain.
yeah, that's
I
a
feel like
good
it
way to
would
put
even
it
almost
without the bars.
raise it up a little bit. Bringing it in might
I
raise
think
it,
it
but
would.
maybe
Yeah,
not quite.
think
I don't
they
know. It's
work
funny
around
because you
it. I
think
don't
like
know.
15 and 25. You're like, it's only 10 millimeters difference. That's a lot. That is a
Yeah,
lot when
well,
you
a, s-
riding.
a normal head tube angle is like 75, and then if it's steep, it's 75.5, and you're like half a degree. That doesn't matter, and then it
Or it's like
really
cranks, like 170s versus 165s, whole different
crazy
thing.
difference.
Or even like a 20.5 frame versus 20.75. We're talking a quarter inch difference
Hmm.
could change your entire riding.
Yeah.
Like,
Um, yeah, Alien. So if you change it, one, I don't know, make sure that you want that steep because I think the whip is like 32 or 28 already. And so that's a drastic especially if it's
yeah, it's
32. I
gonna
can't remember off the top of my head.
like that'd be like me going from the pitchforks that I have now that are 32
Uh,
down to
to
15. It
15s.
would it
Yeah.
would feel so obnoxious because I've gone from 32 to 25
And
and went right
that's
back because
still
I was like
noticeable.
it was a
Yeah.
lot. Oh, it's hugely noticeable.
Yep.
And
That's what
so
I was. Yeah, if you switch it like that, maybe I hate to tell you to do that and spend more money, like switch from a 32 to a 25, and then if you still want more steepness, again, but I think that's really the best option is like to kind of because 25 is considered steep. It's been considered steep for the last forever. And then recently R15s came out, which I think are more for flatland, but people are riding them for street, and it's Peanuts hungry,
yeah.
and people are starting to switch to 15. So I I think that's a lot, but then again, I don't know what you're looking to get out of it. It's going to feel really, really, really responsive. But
Yeah,
yeah, it won't change your head tube angle, I guess.
it'll feel strange at first. To me, I always think like when I think of changing geometry, like Doug says, like what are you trying to get out of it? But also like you kind of got to think of what what ability level would you consider your riding at? Like for someone like me, when I was less experienced, still trying to figure out which direction I wanted to go with riding, figuring out what tricks suited me better. That's when I was doing all of my geometry changes. But like now, if I made like a significant geometry change,
Yeah,
I
you're
would either
struggling
have to
with
have
geometry.
I would have to have like either a very very particular um, idea of what that's gonna do for me better.
Mm,
Um, Otherwise, like a change, dude, I cannot say geometry change. A geometry change for no reason for me, I feel like would throw off a lot of my riding. A lot of things would
yeah.
get really weird for me because I'm so established in the geometry that I ride. So an unnecessary change, like just being like, oh, I'm gonna ride a longer back end frame for no reason, it wouldn't do well. But if I was
Mm,
like, hey, you know, like to me, if I was gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna change to 160 cranks instead of 170 because I know 160 benefits bar spins. It's 100%. It does. You're closer. You can pinch the seat better. But for you, riding street, um, you know,
Alien.
going steeper is probably going to be better, especially if you're trying to do nose manuals and stuff. It'll make your nose manuals way easier. Just be ready for like it to feel kind of weird, and you might for the first week or two be like, "This sucks," but then it'll benefit you later if that's the kind of riding you want to do.
Yeah. He's riding streets. So yeah, if you're doing a lot of
Yeah,
nose manuals and all that, um, it's different. You know, it makes it more responsive in bowls, and I don't know. There's a lot, but you'll just have to mess around with it and see what you like the most. You gonna go this one?
I was gonna answer Jared just real quick
Oh, psych,
about the
Sergio. We're gonna answer
165.
Jared.
Well, we're right to you, Sergio. So, Jared, I don't know what size shoe you wear, but I'm guaranteeing it's bigger than mine because I have extremely small feet. I wear a size 9. Um, and so I do 170s. I've always rode 170 cranks, and I grind on my BMX bike on the side of my back foot. I'm left foot forward, grind on the right, and like I said, I got small feet, and I'm running 170s. My whole heel sits on that peg, and you get used to it. Like I've been in a manual before on the BMX bike and gone to like loop out, and my heel gets caught under the peg. Um, but having that's why a lot of guys run 3 pegs, because I think you got to think changing from 170 to 165. That's like the whole thing. It's not each crank arm, I don't think, but whether it is or not, I don't think it would be enough to stop you from hitting it. I think no matter what cranks you're running, unless you have a longer chainstay, your heel is gonna hit that peg. Obviously, that depends on your chainstay and your cranks, but like I run short back end with 170s, and like I said, the whole heel hits it, and you get used to it. And normally, when you're riding, unless you're really dropping the heels, you don't even really feel it. But just know it's it's a good chance that even if you put 165s on, you'd still hit that back foot on the peg, and that's just how BMX bikes are built.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
think
Chad, yes.
it's a
Oh,
pretty normal
Doug, you
thing.
go.
No, I was just gonna say that it'll help a teeny tiny bit, but 5 millimeters isn't a ton, and a lot of it goes with your riding stance. And when you're pedaling, your foot dips like this anyway. So the only issue is when it's on that where your back foot is. I had one back there once, and it was very frustrating. And I have big feet and short chain stays, so it's just a terrible combination. Do you really need to grind on that
Yeah,
side? That's what you got to ask yourself.
yeah. You get used to it. Like I said, like it. I've always like my whole mega ramp video pegs were on the bike, and obviously it doesn't make a difference. But 13.25, that's pretty short, right?
Where? Oh,
He has
yeah, 13.
13.25 back. That's
No,
pretty
that's
short.
I'd say that's no,
Or
that's about yeah. 13's kind of to me. 13.2 is normal-ish, and then
what's like
some go
short?
like 12.75.
Oh, mine's probably like 12.75 then.
Yeah.
Because I'm Harry
What did
Main
you
style
say it
bike.
was? The Harry Main? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. And
Um,
that's Dustin says that he wears 11s and 165s and doesn't touch. But I think he has a longer back end.
yeah.
Because yeah, if you go 12.75 on center to 13.25, that's half an inch right there. That's a lot more than 5 millimeters.
Yeah, and I'm pretty slammed on the BMX bike as well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
short,
So it
short. So
could be
a
even
lot of things
closer.
make a
Mhm.
difference. You'd know if you put pegs on and kind of like are like, hey, I'm barely touching. But then Chad says, wait, what? Cranks makes bar spins harder or easier? To an extent, they can, yeah, because if you're running like 175s, your feet are further apart. So pinching the seat is more difficult. Like getting your legs together is more difficult because they're so offset. The closer you bring those together, the more easily you're just kind of like pinching straight together. Um, and you have the seat kind of, and it depends on the frame as well, but yeah,
Yeah, you
generally
stand
your
over
feet
height
being
and stuff
closer
like that.
together is going to make it easier to bar spin 100%.
I've never thought of that. When you said it, I started thinking about it. I was like, hey, that's a good point. Because, yeah, 180s are kind of the longest.
Yeah, that'd be like
Trying
racing BMX
and you're
cranks.
like out here, and then you go from 180 to 160, you're like almost directly in line with the seat tube. That's a
Yeah.
really interesting idea. Okay, Sergio, we didn't forget about you. Sergio needs help with bunny hop bars. His tire touches his foot when he tries the trick. Any advice? Um, I'll just tell you how I did it. I'm trying to think about this because what would happen for me is when I would hop bar. Sorry, I was itching my foot. That's why it looked like all weird. Anyway, when I was learning hop bars and doing them initially, my front foot would just kind of float off. Did that ever happen to you? Or was your
So
foot always on?
so that's what I was about to say. My answer is kind of complicated, so I will wait till you're done and I'll pick
Uh,
up right there. So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so mine would always like float off. And then I started getting it timed right so that I could make sure I was more leveled out and kind of throwing at my peak height and going down. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it changed my foot placement or what, but my toe wasn't in a spot where my tire was hitting anymore. When I was throwing them a little earlier, that's when that would happen. So I'm not sure what your bars look like, but that's what it was for me.
So for me, um, like I think I much more actually pinch than Doug does. Um, like I'm full on squeezing the seat when I'm doing bar spins, but also it's actually where my knees are. But when I'm standing there, yeah, I can stand on the pedals and pinch my seat, and this leg just goes like this. The front foot, it like tilts back, like you said. But when
Mhm.
I'm actually, in the air doing a bar spin, the force of me pulling my knee back to the seat raises the front foot full on off the pedal, and it comes back like
Mhm.
near the crank arm. So it's moving it out of the way. But when I do switch bars, it doesn't really move off the same way, and I will hit my front wheel on the tire or my front foot on the tire all the time.
Oh, yeah,
Like
that's a good
if
point.
I truck to the right, so like my regular bar, the left hand bar spin into the front foot, when I spin that way, my front foot comes off and back a little bit, and it never hits. When I go the other way, the way I pinch, and because I'm spinning into that front foot, the goofy footed way, and then doing the switch bar, that foot does not move off the pedal because I'm holding different, and every single time, it'll it'll buzz right on the toe. Um, so I would say like if you're buzzing on the toe, two things. One, try getting more on the ball of your foot, but also when you hop, if you really like snap into the seat pinch, there's a good chance that naturally your foot is going to come up and back. I would say if you're trying to throw the bars and you're like a little bit bow legged or standing up straight, you're gonna buzz because that foot's not moving and it's probably not even tilting back. You need it to tilt back because most frames and stuff, you're gonna be pretty close to hitting, especially if you're running like 20.4 top tube with a 2.4 tire. Like you're getting close. And then some
The
frames
steep
you'll
offset
never
brings it
hit.
in more.
Like if you're riding a 21.25, you're never gonna hit. It's just not gonna happen.
That makes a lot of sense because your foot is level and then it's a lot closer to the tire there. But when you snatch it back to pinch the seat, you're tilting it up and so you're giving it more clearance. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are things that you
Chad's.
literally only notice from watching videos of yourself. It's not like I ever consciously knew my foot was lifting up. You
Yeah.
watch a video of you doing a truck driver and you're like, bro, my foot's not even touching the pedal. Like, and you just start to learn those things. And then, like, Jake Leva full on takes his foot off and, like, pinches the frame with both legs almost right next to each other. His foot full on moves to the bottom bracket. And that's how he
What
pinches.
do you think about Tyler Smith bar spins or Tyler Reed?
Um,
You know, Kyle's little brother?
I just saw him.
Yeah. He takes his
Yeah.
foot off, right? Like one
No, he
whole foot
fixed
off
it.
to do a bar spin. No way.
Yeah, he fixed it.
Oh, that a boy.
Yeah, I was super
I
proud of him. He
remember
fixed
he'd
it.
take a whole foot off. Chad
Yeah.
says, hmm.
Oh yeah, Chad. I learned bar spins with 175. It took me a long time to go down to 170s. Like I said, if you're pinching and your leg is coming off already, it's not going to change. It's really not going to change. Um, but if you're flat-footed, it'll help. Like, I don't know. I like shorter
Okay,
tricks.
okay, Stinky's leaving us. We'll see you later, man.
Lay it up.
Um, I was gonna say, look, Doug or Bob. You're welcome, Alien. Glad we could help. It's always fun to help you guys out with different things.
Chad says maybe my frame is too small for me. You pinch like where you put like one heel down and pinch.
Like your heels on that bolt there in the middle, or what?
See, I'm very pinch the frame of the seat kind of guy. That's like my. I don't really know what like pinching the cranks
Well,
would entail.
and the whole reason you're pinching it is because if, like, say, goofy footed hot bars, if you throw it, it's hard to pinch, and so the bike dips out like
It's
this, and it
tilting.
just
Yeah, it's
makes it a
tilting.
really, like, you want your bars to spin on that perfect axis, and if it tilts, it like messes up your spin. And to me, that's the importance of the pinch, is to keep your bike from doing this or this when you throw the bars. So I guess the way that you're actually pinching it, I don't think matters as much as like actually pinching it so it doesn't tip. You know what I mean? And I don't think, Chad,
Yeah,
I don't think you're having that issue at all with your bars. I think it's just you got to keep those feet on and hold it out until it gets there to your hand. You're
yeah.
back on
Like
the bike now, so have you started trying
the
them? Where are you at?
the crank thing, switching the size of the cranks. I don't think that's something you would notice the benefits of until you were pretty avidly doing bar spins. You would once you knew how to do bar spins, you would notice. I don't know if there'd be like a huge benefit when like first learning them. If that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. Like, if I tell someone, they're like, oh, I should get a titanium frame because a lot of high level riders ride a really light frame. But it's like, if you're going from double whips to triple whips, you're going to notice that weight difference. But if you're just learning tail whips, it's not going to make that huge of a difference.
Yeah,
So,
you're not really gonna notice much. It's kind of like you got to think of everything as being like a 5% difference, maybe. You got to think of everything as being, and often it's even less than that. Like Ricky Veronic rides like a 14-pound BMX bike. He was doing quad whips on a 21-pound bike, and now he does quad whips on a 14-pound bike. It took him like 4 months to even learn how to ride that bike on ramps. And it's like, yeah, it was able to make him that 5-10% better and more consistent and work less hard for that stuff. But you couldn't get on his, like, I could not get on his bike and do any of those tricks.
because
Just
it's
be
so
like,
weird.
if I can't triple whip, can't triple whip a lighter bike either. There's a lot of technique that's going on there. But Chad, you said you're scared of hitting your knees. Um, that's definitely a mental battle for sure. And there comes this point where like once you start doing them, um, you kind of have to like just understand that if you're getting your knees back, and that's why I stress pinching the seat because my seat is behind my knees. So if I'm pinching my seat, I know that I'm clear of the bars because the bars don't reach the seat. Now, if your bars extend and overlap with your seat, you're gonna be pretty close to hitting them. I don't know how wide your bars are, but um, anything up to like 30-inch bars, you shouldn't have a problem hitting your knees. You kind of just gotta trust. You kind of just gotta trust that you're not gonna. You actually have more chance of hitting your knees when you take that foot off or like let go with the knees because then the bike comes backwards. It's getting that bike out, getting your knees back, and just allowing the bars to spin around. And also, if you started with your hand like on the end of the bar, your hand would hit first and your bars wouldn't, and then you'd know you're not hitting because your hand didn't hit.
Hey, we were talking about Ricky's. Wait, I just pulled it up real quick on Fat BMX because I think it'll be fun to talk about for half a second. Um, is this the current setup? Here, hold on.
Um, Yeah, so that's the one he's had for a while now.
Oh,
I haven't seen Ricky in a since before summer, but it's crazy. His stem and bars are one piece.
yeah. Here, look. Oh, hello.
Ricky is a
Yeah, so
very
that's all
good bike rider.
one piece right there.
Yeah, it's one piece
Stim bars one piece. Look at the cable routing. Disc
with
brake
the
on the BMX.
hydraulic mountain bike gyro on it.
Probably tie cranks, tie frame.
No carbon cranks.
Carbon cranks.
Actually,
But the
those ones
crazy.
might be tie. Those ones might be tie. He was
Oh,
running carbon
really?
cranks for a while, but those might be tie.
Are these the twisty spokes or are these normal? I can't tell.
I think those ones are the twisty
They
spokes.
look like it. And what
Yeah,
was crazy with when Ricky was doing this is that yeah, the spokes are what are they like some type of thread and they
yeah, they're almost like
tension
a
just
string.
yeah, they
Yeah,
tension by tightening. So they're not like normal spokes, but they just get tighter and they tension up. And so this is his crazy
and both
14
wheels are
pound
through axle. Oh,
through
it's
what's that mean?
16.2. 16.2 pounds. They're
16.
through axle. They don't slide into the dropouts. The bolt goes through.
Oh man. This was in 2019. I don't know if
Yeah,
he's
like I said, I
changed
haven't.
it.
Last time I saw him, he was riding that bike for a while. Last time I saw
Oh,
him was
okay.
before summer. We were riding at Woodward together like every day. He took a break from riding and then he got back into it and then I don't know what he's doing right now.
Hmm. Um,
Chad, reason I'm taking a step back and learn fundamental tricks first. No, definitely, and it's and bar spins. For some people seem like fundamental. Some people go out and learn bar spins like immediately. Bar spins took me a really long time. I was doing 360s and backflips on dirt jumps before I could bar spin because I was like I could not make myself throw the bars without jumping off. It took me months to figure it out. It
same.
took a very long time, and it took me even longer to learn how to bunny hop bar. Like it was a long time, and some people learn it really fast, and I just was not one of those people. And so just know like it's okay not to be one of those people that
Yeah.
jumps straight to bar spins. Like there's so much other stuff that you can do. There's plenty of pro riders out there that don't bar spin. There's plenty.
Um,
Um,
my what my first tail whip just came up on like a Facebook memory yesterday or something. It was 10 years ago, so I'd already been riding for 2 or 3 years, and that's how long it took me to get a whip. And bars were close to the same timeline. It's like I'd try it and try it and try it and try it, and then at one point it finally clicked after just a ton of different repetition and changing real small tweaks here and there, or here and there.
yeah, my bar spin process went from I try a couple fly out, feet would fly off. I wouldn't commit fully, and then I would do when it really started to click was when I was doing hop bars, but I didn't hop. I wasn't able to like full on hop bar. I was just doing double tire hop bars, but being able to do those somewhat consistent, like even just in the grass, that's what
Hmm.
led me to be able to do it fly out because I knew that it would come around. And then I started treating the fly out hopping kind of like double tire out of it and
Yeah.
doing that. And so, Chad, like you may want to do double tire bar because that'll tell you right there that you're not going to hit your knees because you'll hop straight into that position instead of trying to like
Mhm.
hop, bend your knees, level out, and then bar spin.
Hmm. Yeah, I always think if there's the right form to do a hot bar. And then but then you see some people, like I was one of those people. I learned it the complete bus driving. So I'd learn it bus driving, and I got so much backlash from it. I got everyone would talk bad about it because it's a bus driver, it doesn't count. And but then from there, like after doing it, I was able to adapt it and to clean it up. And so for those people who learn like double tire hop without the right form, more times than not, that's a step in the right direction to like getting over the mental blocks of actually getting the bar around. And so then you're able to go from there and then incorporate the right form and the right way to do it. So yeah, dude, find the way that works for you and make it work. You got it.
Doug, what's your favorite rim?
I've been running Sun Rhino Lights forever. and I don't think they make them anymore. I just keep finding them on Amazon on clearance, and then I'll grab them and lace them up because they're pinned double wall. They're not even welded, but they're fairly light, and they're like $20 to $30 a rim. They're way cheaper than hazard lights, and I've only broke one in the last like 4 or 5 years. So yeah, those are definitely my favorites. I think hazard lights are really cool, or any Odyssey, but value, dude, you gotta go with the super cheap rims that last forever. What about
So
you?
um, the BMX rims that are on my BMX bike right now was kind of like the what I always recommended to everyone because I built a lot of people's wheels at the
Mm-hmm.
bike shop. So when people wanted custom wheels, it was pretty much like we did. Like for all the guys at Woodward for a long time, it was build them with profiles. We would do an alienation runaway in the back. They don't make these are older rims,
Yeah.
Alienation runaway in the back and the alienation deviant in the front. And now they have basically the newer models of those two rims, um, and it's a pretty good combination. Can't remember the exact names of them, but they're the alienation ones. Really light. The deviant was like the lightest front rim ever, and it's still on my bike right now. But to me, I think the strongest rim because of how strongly it's cross laced, how much the nipple holes go like this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you cross lace it. Actually, technically, it would be like this, not like this. It'd be like this.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but you cross lace them really hard, and it's the G Sports, the G Sport like I
Rib
don't even know what
cage
the
yeah,
rib cage or bird cage or something.
yeah,
The ones that are
yeah.
impossible to get your tire off of. Yeah.
I was just looking at on Fly's website, and have you seen those fly rims?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm gonna pull them up, but I don't know. I think they just have a lot of hollow holes in it, and it's kind of cool. But I don't know. $80, Jesus Christ! Look at this. But so all these like weight saving
Oh
holes,
wow.
and then the spokes are so crossed, because like my spokes run center right here, and I think
But
that makes a
see,
weaker rim.
these are not crossed.
Oh,
These
they
are
stay outside like that.
yeah, they stay outside. If you
It's the
moved,
angle.
if you switched them, like that's what makes the G Sport one so gnarly. Is it's like instead of having them out here, it's like this one is actually over here and this one's actually over here, and the rim is concaved instead of like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes a
Like
lot of
so the
sense.
spokes are lacing like this instead of like
That's
this.
crazy. Yeah.
Cross lace always going to be, and don't confuse cross lace with like three cross because that's how you three cross is how you do every single wheel. It depends on where it's pulling. If it's pulling on the rims like this, it's not cross laced. If it's pulling like this, it's cross laced.
I just you remember how I laced that or like put those new spokes on in Phoenix?
Yeah.
So like I got them about half laced, and then I think Nick had to go, and then I was like, oh, over it, so I didn't really finish the wheel until like a week later. Anyway, it creaks so bad now. It's like it's way worse than it was before. Like it was missing
Oh
five
no.
spokes before, and it's definitely worse. You guys will hear it in that short I posted. I'm like carving around the corner. It's all. Um, do you remember any triple wall rims? Dustin says the Alex triple wall.
No, triple wall would have been way before I was ever old enough to need triple walls because I would have weighed like 80, 60, 50 pounds back then. Like 2003, I was probably like 45 pounds because I would have been like 8
I remember when I
and
was getting
probably
into
3
it,
feet tall.
I was looking for triple wall rims because I thought that's what you needed, but now they're pretty much extinct. Like
Yeah,
I think
totally.
we've come far enough that you don't need 48 hole triple wall rims because what we have for 36 holes, sufficient quality. Um,
Yeah, it's
but yeah,
pretty
they're
pretty
just
unnecessary
crazy.
nowadays.
Um,
Later, Chad.
okay,
See you.
you guys got any last minute questions? Chad, have a great day, Chad. We'll see you later. Okay, we're going to give you 6 seconds for a last minute question. Otherwise, you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. I want to
Yeah, thanks for
hear
hanging out with us.
actually, yeah, it's fun. What trick did you guys learn this weekend? Did you learn a trick? Throw it in the chat. I'm just curious. What are you guys working on? I At the end of my live on Friday, I said I was going to do a whip tap foot jam because I haven't in a long time, and I finally did. So I didn't let you
Nice.
guys down, but it's the only reason I went to ride. I was like, I gotta go film this. I gotta do it.
Last thing I did that was new was that alley oop spin.
That was cool.
That was that was fun. That was a sick one. Well, cool. All right, guys. Well, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. And new video on Friday.
Friday. It's gonna be a good one.